Cocaine is a hell of a drug.
What's up, everybody? Happy Thursday. It's June 12th. I'm coming to you live from Palm Beach County, Florida, here in the Dancing Elephant Bookstore, Florida's #1 metaphysical book and crystal store. And boy, do we have a spicy, spicy jalapeno habanero show for you tonight. Okay. We're continuing our Thursday movie theater. Thursday theater. That's what we should have said. Movie series. Decoding Florida movies set or filmed in Florida. And all the other ones have kind of had some, lots of different topics. This one is pure espionage, James Bond type stuff. Zionism. It's like, let's just say this. It's like the real life Zohan. Not real life, but the non-comedy version of the Zohan, but also based on real life. So semi-historical. Tonight we're talking about Black Sunday, a movie from 1977, banned in a couple countries, apparently, for a period of time, due to political, racial, cultural tensions, This movie is all about Israeli Mossad agents, counterterrorism agents, operating in Florida. Most of the movie takes place in Florida, in South Florida, around Miami. And that's pretty much a brief overview, but you can see in the title there's Mossad, Palestinian, terrorist affiliated organizations. But then a big part of this movie has to do with airships, blimps, dirigibles, right? That's been something we've covered in quite a few of these movies, at least 3, where there's been blimps or airships that play a big part in the movie. So then at the end of this movie, it kind of climaxes at the Super Bowl. So we're going to talk about the Super Bowl a little bit and how much kind of Israeli intelligence goes into football games and entertainment, things like that, because there are some interesting choices made at the end of this movie. That's all we'll say. And there's also a very little gopher hole rabbit hole in this movie, having to do with the beef between the Japanese and the Israelis. Very little known beef, but some interesting history. Now, like I said, this one's real spicy, so we got to do a little disclaimer here. Okay. I want ears up on this one, okay? All the Mossad agents at your desks, just moment of silence here for a sec. Quit spamming the troll comments, Mossad agents. We're going to be using all the accurate terms for the parties involved tonight. So I want you guys to do me a favor, okay? Just take it easy on the comments. We're pretty much all on the same page. We don't need to have a fucking dick measuring contest or nose measuring contest, okay? No one needs to prove how based they are in the comments. Stay silent.
Does it get bad on your end?
No, but since we're already talking about something so spicy, the bad comments can only hurt. You know, I don't know. Just we're going to be talking about this stuff. Please don't feel the need to prove how based you are and prove how much you know about who really owns the world. And we get it. We get it. Okay. You're only going to be hurting me. Potentially, my channel. Go watch some Nick Fuentes. Go watch some whatever. What we're going to be talking about in this video, what we're saying out loud is pretty much as far as I want to go. But I'm not saying you gotta, totally censor yourselves. Just don't try and outdo us. Don't try and teach us. Oh, you don't know how bad it really is and all that. We're gonna get there. We're gonna get to it. We're gonna put it all out. And like I said, no one needs to prove how based they are. Okay, we all get it. Everyone's welcomed here. And the other side of that is, straight up, I grew up with Jewish people. I love a lot of Jewish people, a lot of great friends of mine, the majority of my friends growing up.
How are we coming through, by the way? Because I know StreamYard was acting up earlier, and I'm getting a message on my screen about the connection. So let us know how we sound, if we're choppy or not. Get a sound check in the comments.
Good call. Good call, Juan. Should have started off with that. But that's really it. That's the disclaimer. That's the lame disclaimer. But, I don't want to see 1,000 comments like, oh, you didn't talk about this and how 6 million could have never actually, like, okay. Another topic, another time.
Been there, done that. Yeah.
Right? Yeah, okay. So that being said, let's get into it. This is a super spicy movie. It's hard to believe. There's a lot of in-your-face stuff in this movie. But I've said enough. Juan, how are you doing today? How are you feeling with the movie?
Doing all right. I thought it was a terrible movie. I thought it was very boring. It's 2 hours and 23 minutes long, and we know what that means.
Illuminati confirmed.
3, 2, 2. Right. So they right off the rip, they're just like pump. They're pumping us full of, the Illuminati. There's a lot of weird dates in the movie. As far as the layout and the concept of the movie, it focuses a lot on the villain and how you were saying the good guys, quote unquote, weren't really all that good. And it's interesting because part of the reason that this movie did fairly well for the time, and part of the reason that they said it didn't do better was because it was banned in Japan and in Germany, of course, right?
Mm-hmm.
Those two places. And there was another movie that had come out. There's, I guess, another SuperBowl movie, but check out the poster of this movie real quick, right? Speaking of Illuminati confirmed, 91,000 people, 33 exit gates, 1 sniper. And apparently this is a really violent movie that features, again, Goodyear blimp. I don't know what's up with the Goodyear blimp. Maybe they have a monopoly on that, but it's very similar. There's a deranged guy going at it at the Super Bowl. And they said that this movie had come out before, because Black Sunday was 1977. This was 1976. But yeah, I thought it was interesting here, the little 33. And we'll get into the esoteric symbolism behind the Super Bowl, which a lot of people talk about being some sort of loosh mining, SuperBowl ritual type of thing, which we can agree. It's one of the most popular sports, right? It's an American thing.
Yeah.
And
Pigskin.
Is that what you think, that they named football because soccer is actually really popular? Almost like trying to, why do they call it both the same thing? You know, because in Hispanic countries, football isn't football, it's soccer.
Dude, I don't know. I really don't know that. I just know that, you do kick a football, and the way they used to play like 100 years ago, I think you used to kick it a lot more. And they call rugby football too.
Oh, really?
So I think they were calling football soccer, or they're calling football soccer football. Then there's rugby, which is like halfway between, soccer and football. they're calling that football. And then football, American football, is just close to rugby, so that gets called football too. I assume,
Yeah.
but I don't know.
Interesting. Either way, yeah, I thought it was pretty terrible. It just dragged on a lot, and yeah, we'll get into it. We'll break it down. We'll try to get through the whole movie, and see what happens.
It's like I said, who's ever seen the Zohan? You don't mess with the Zohan. This is like the non-comedic version, the straight up actually trying to be a good movie version of the Zohan. And I love the Zohan. Hilarious movie.
That's with
But
Adam
right
Sandler,
here,
right?
right here, I almost called you John. Fuck.
Fine, Juan,
Right
John,
here.
same thing.
Yeah, anglicized Juan, but let's just stop right there, Juan, at the beginning where it says Robert Evans. Does it say his name? It says Robert Shaw.
Yeah, at the very beginning, it said Robert Evans right here, production.
Okay, so he's the main producer. So that's what we should probably start off with. Is let's just look up Robert Evans on Wikipedia, please, because Robert Evans, not only was he involved with The Godfather,
Oh,
helped
dude.
produce The Godfather, he worked on, quote unquote, I don't know if that is producer or what, but he worked on Rosemary's Baby. Rosemary's Baby is a movie made by Polanski, right? Yeah, Roman
Yes.
Polanski escaped PDF file, international fugitive escaped PDF file, who was involved in the Manson murders. That's a Roman Polanski, I think, was the director.
Yeah, he was the director and screenplay writer.
So Polanski apparently had a thing for underage girls. He was involved in Sharon Tate was at his house when she was murdered.
That's so bizarre, dude.
By the Manson family. Yep. And I guess his most famous movie, maybe not. I don't know all his movies, but the one I know him from is Rosemary's Baby. Rosemary's Baby is a movie about a couple who, I think it's New York. They
Yes.
moved to New York, just like what's the Florida movie? I think The Devil's Advocate.
The Devil's
That's
Advocate.
one of the first movies we did. Probably the best breakdown we ever did too, I think, with the Devil's Advocate. Well, Rosemary's Baby is like the inspiration to The Devil's Advocate. And Rosemary's Baby is a movie about a couple that moves to New York or is trying to make it in New York. And the boyfriend is an actor. The man's an actor. He's trying to make it big. He's having a tough time. Can't catch a break, right? The woman is kind of just like a housewife. And she's very pretty. She has long hair and all this stuff, right? Trophy wife. And then they're trying to have a baby. They're having trouble having a baby. The husband gets caught up in some nasty stuff. And essentially he like sells his soul or joins the Illuminati or some satanic cult. And then she conceives, she unknowingly is impregnated with the Antichrist. And their goal is to bring the Antichrist out of her womb against her will. And there's all these rituals, and it turns out like the whole neighborhood is in on it, or at least all the well-connected people in their building, in their neighborhood, the doctors even in on it, right? Big conspiracy, big satanic conspiracy behind the scenes. But this is Hollywood, of course. This is just fiction. I mean, this is just big Hollywood fiction. You know, that stuff never happens. But that's what Roman Polanski
Metafiction.
Yeah. That's what Roman Polanski was into. And it's not a terrible movie. It's genuinely terrifying. And Yeah, it also kind of has to do with Moonchild. You know, the Aleister Crowley book prophecy.
Flight of the
Right.
Navigator. He's impregnated with like some alien parasite information, and it's got to be like a small boy, you know, Moonchild, Star Child type of thing.
Yeah.
You know, but what are your opinions on, like, do you think these people actually do this sort of stuff, or do they think that they? Do you think they
Um,
actually practice? Because that's a lot of like QAnon.
have
That's
you
top,
heard?
cream of the crop conspiracy.
Have you heard that Jeffrey Epstein, who we're also going to get to later, have you heard that Jeffrey Epstein was apparently trying to create a Moonchild?
Yes, I wrote all about it in one of my essays about homunculus.
There you go. The homunculus, the Moonchild, you know, this is all in the same vein. It's real, very real to some people. Yeah. Now, we can't dwell on Rosemary's Baby too long, but Robert Evans produced Rosemary's Baby, just like Harvey Weinstein is a producer, you know. The director needs a lot of money to get these ideas out there, made. That's where the producer comes in. Sometimes the producer has a big artistic or, you know, influence on what's in it.
Inspiration from real life.
Yeah. Yeah. So Polanski. Yeah. So that's Robert Evans. He was involved with that movie, and he's involved with Black Sunday. So you got one movie about a satanic cult behind Hollywood. Dude, if you know YouTube, we love everyone. We love everything, no matter what. We love everyone. Free Israel, free Palestine, free Israel, extra. We love everyone, but come on, people. You've got one movie about a satanic cult in controlling like Hollywood or the actors, you know, getting jobs, trying to create a antichrist baby.
Making deals
And
with the devil.
and then the same guy, like 10 years later, makes a movie about Israeli Mossad. That's kind of redundant, but Mossad operating like James Bond style operations all over Florida with impunity. Not checking in with anyone. They're not like bumping in like with the local police like, "Hey, you know, this is our jurisdiction. You got to let us know if you're coming in here and doing espionage in Florida." Not really. They just do whatever they want. Machine guns off the sides of helicopters like. So, you really got to ask yourself, what's the connection between all this stuff? And we'll just leave that question to you guys, but that's all there. You know, we got that much to say just off the guy who produced the movie. We're not even a minute into this thing, but let's get into it more. Well, I got a little list here of notes that I took. I got a whole bunch of links too.
Frankenheimer, I haven't looked into him yet, but he was also Jewish as well. I think all three producers were Jewish. All
Yeah.
four were Jew. The four people behind this movie, which
Mhm.
would be John Frankenheimer, Ernest Lehman, Kenneth Ross, and Ivan Moffat, and Robert Evans too. So it'd be four people. I looked into some of these guys. And again, does that mean anything? I don't know. But how you were saying, it's interesting that the president of the United States was at the football game and he was one of the targets,
Yeah.
right? So what does that say? You have Mossad guarding and essentially trying to take out the blimp that was supposed to take out all these people, and he's just going ham. So if
Yeah.
this is in a movie, how is it in real life? Because that's a big conspiracy too,
Yeah.
that all presidents, no matter who they are, bow the knee and they always go and kiss that wall or some shit, whatever it is that they do, right? They always do it.
Yeah.
And people bring this up like, you see their control too. The what do they call them? The little hats or whatever they call them. I don't know what they call them on the internet, but the white hats or something. They got them in their pocket, right? Like you always see that.
Yeah.
So just putting that out there.
No, it's true. It's true. And this movie starts out in Beirut, And the context for this movie is it's kind of in the wake or the years following the Olympic terrorist attacks. The 1972, I think, 1972 Olympics terrorist attack, where the Israeli Olympic team was held hostage and like 11 of them, lost their lives in a terrorist attack. And the same organization that was involved in that, Black September, they are the group who's kind of the main organization in this movie. So that's the context. That's kind of the background. And this was fresh on many people's memories, fresh on their minds, right? Only 5 years before the movie came out. The Munich massacre, yeah. And interestingly, even though this massacre happened, all the countries got together and they were like, man, that was tragic.
They didn't do anything about it.
but we start at 9 a.m. tomorrow. Don't be late.
Oh, shit.
Sorry. No more bronze, more medals for everyone else, right?
Yikes.
They were like,
Right.
that was terrible. But swimming will now be before volleyball, and
Yikes.
everyone go about your business.
All right,
Yeah.
so here we are.
The Olympics must go on.
And this particular actor, she did date Al Pacino, and she is part of this group, Black September, in the movie, which is based off of a real group. So they follow her for a while at the very beginning. I mean, look, we're 4 minutes in, and they're just following her around, and you're just like, when does this end? And then it flips to a video of a prisoner of war, a Vietnamese prisoner of war. And it's this video of him addressing his war crimes and the things that he's done. And then she comes in and is like, hey, we can't let the Americans see this footage. This footage needs to be taken out. It needs to be destroyed. And he's a familiar face, right? Which we'll see later on in the movie.
Yeah. It's just to be clear, it's American POW from the Vietnam War.
Yeah,
And
so secretly deranged by years of torture as a prisoner of war in the Vietnam War, he had a bitter court martial. Yeah, this is I don't know the guy's name. What's the guy's name?
Lander. His last name's Lander, which is hilarious. It's
Michael Lander, played by Bruce Dern. Which what else has he been in? Coming Home, Nebraska. He's been in a ton of movies.
is that the guy who was in The Hateful Eight? He played the Civil War.
Was he? I don't see it on here. Here. The Hateful Eight, is that the one with yep.
Yeah, that's him. That guy played the Confederate like general or something in
That was a great movie too, by the way.
I don't know.
I think the Django Unchained was
like
also fucking hilarious.
That
was that one
Django
goes
was
hard.
better.
I can't see shit out this thing.
Dude, Django was just Quentin Tarantino earning himself the praises
A hall pass.
Yeah, exactly. Because he dropped so many N-bombs before that. Well,
Talk about DiCaprio.
There was Jackie Brown. Well, just in his other movies, there's like needless N-bomb usage.
Yeah, I agree.
And he says it's an Italian thing, or like, oh, if you hear real Italian people talk like that in real life, they say the N-word all the time. He's like, that's just how it is, you know? And then he made Jackie Brown, which was a super black movie, but it wasn't like as congratulatory or triumphant for the blacks.
He was also in Small Soldiers. I grew up watching this movie. Ever seen this movie, bro?
No.
He's the Burbs. I don't know who that is. The Burbs, Small Soldiers, and the Hellhole. All right. Anyways, yes, we see this guy. and he's talking about his war crimes. And I think he's apologizing, isn't he? He's like, "I'm sorry for what I've done."
Yeah.
Blah blah blah. She comes in, and they're kind of looking at this thing, and
Well, she's like an agent. They see him, and it doesn't really explain it too much. Keep
I'm
going.
a,
Keep skipping.
I'm gonna be honest. I was confused for probably 98% of this movie,
Okay.
so you're gonna have to bear with me.
Yeah, they don't explain too much, and at the end of the movie just ends
Yeah.
super abruptly. And there's a sequence at the end of the movie that is the most poorly edited
Oh my god.
sequence, like when the blimp actually attacks the Super Bowl.
I thought it was
Dude,
never gonna end.
they change scenes like boom, 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 scene, different person, different person, different person. Like it's like 3 minutes.
Yeah, it's rough. It was rough. It was rough. He's just rolling around on top of the blimp, just like I was like, bro, just do it already.
Yeah. But at the beginning of this, we meet again, it's really hard to say who the protagonist is in this movie because everyone is kind of evil, immoral, or they're kind of all anti-heroes, everyone in the movie. So there's no one good guy, there's no one bad guy. Now, from the zooming out on the whole movie, it is written to be kind of pro-Israel, anti-Palestine, anti not Islam, but anti, jihad, anti-terrorism. That's the big picture. But as far as the characters go, and that's another thing, maybe they're trying to make the Israeli characters be as good as they can.
That's
But that,
badass too.
yeah, maybe they're trying to make them as cool and nice as they can, and they just come off like total pieces of shit. But it's really hard to tell who the good guy is in this movie. But there's counter terrorists, and then there's so-called terrorists who are plotting an attack in Florida. But so far in the movie, what we just saw is POW footage of this guy. And it doesn't really explain it in the movie, but it jumps to the next scene. And she, who was one of those agents in the room watching the footage, is now dating that guy and like married to him. But we don't see that until another sequence. There's a sequence before that where she's with this other guy. So let's just keep skipping ahead. But
You think that was on purpose because they did brainwash him? Like it was part of the whole thing.
yeah,
Like, she's the one that convinced him to,
yeah,
no pun intended, pull the trigger on the whole operation. So it might have been a setup from the very beginning, which is kind of messed up. But
it
we
was.
have
Yeah.
here all agents pulling up, the super soldiers pulling up here, and that's when we get our first look at one of the main guys that could have honestly stopped the whole thing if he would have taken her out since the beginning, right? But he kind of spared her. But the entire movie could have probably been prevented if this guy would have, I guess, done his job how he was supposed to, but he didn't. So,
And this agent, what's the agent's name again? Kabakov. David Kabakov. Okay,
Major
so
David Kabakov.
he, Agent Kabakov, is like the Zohan. He's like a Israeli super spy. Dude, just wait till you hear his nickname, guys. When you hear his nickname, you're gonna cream your pants. Okay, you're gonna have to refresh your computers. You're not gonna believe it when you hear his nickname. But so they're setting up to like raid this terrorist cell. And keep skipping along, Juan, please.
I'm trying to
And
make sure I don't show
yeah,
too much violence. And I know there's
good. We don't have to worry about that. But there's the woman. Oh yeah, watch out for her.
I don't think she shows her tits.
Yeah. So there's a terrorist cell, and what you notice at the beginning is that there's a lot of Asian faces, or a couple Asian faces. So it's an international group.
It's probably Vietnam, no?
No, they're Japanese. maybe one Chinese guy, but these are all representatives of groups with, national affiliations who are very anti-Israel. So these are groups or representatives of groups who are looking to support the PFL, I forget what it's called, but Palestinian, or PLF, the Palestinian Liberation Front or Liberation Organization, something like that. And that's how they get all this support. People think of Gaza and Palestine and Israel. Yeah, the PLO. Thank you. Thank you, Alex. PLO. So this is a real thing. People think Israel-Palestine is, a lot of young people think this is just a recent conflict. And, it's a ancient conflict, but it's, in the context of this movie, we've got to remember this kind of countries have been sympathizing with Palestine for a long time. And in fact, we're kind of at a point where not many countries are supporting them. In the 70s, Palestine had a pretty decent amount of international support, like guns and money coming in by the millions from different countries. And that's largely how they were able to kind of stay afloat, keep themselves strong and defended. And I'm not an expert on this, but I've seen documentaries. I've seen, I grew up watching stuff about Carlos the Jackal, which is another movie related to this. Famous pro-Palestinian assassin, mercenary, who was kind of like a hero. He was like the Che Guevara for a lot of people in like the 70s and 80s. And he was assassinating pro-Israeli or, Israeli officials, diplomats and all this stuff. And he was celebrated as a hero. Now, I don't know if I support that whatsoever, but that's the reality. You had celebrity figures like that who committed attacks in support of Palestine. And yeah, that's a good movie or a good miniseries, about Carlos the Jackal. And
So I skipped all the scenes. He spares her because he finds her naked in the shower. And I skipped all the scenes of them blowing up the house and trying to eliminate this group that was gathered there. So
yeah, this terrorist cell is meeting, and there's all these different characters from different countries. And the woman is there. So the female protagonist, she's kind of an antagonist maybe, but the female main character, whose German family, Israeli born, so she was born in German occupied Israel, which is another chapter of history not many people know about. Did you know that before Israel was started, Germany was trying to send as many Jews as they could to Israel? They were buying land for them. That's true. That's true. We'll have to look it up.
That in the history books. Why is that?
No, yeah. Especially Haifa. Haifa was like a German sponsored Jewish neighborhood in Israel. Yeah. And I don't know too much about that either, but there's a whole lot out there on the internet about that. And that's her background, is why does she have a German accent? Is because she is German, born in Israel, and her German parents were killed by Israeli soldiers or Israeli agents when Israel came in and took over, or the Jews came over and took over Israel. Her parents were killed. Now, that was the fate for a lot of people in Israel, not just German internationals, but if you were on their bad side in Israel, if you didn't have protection from some outside government, a lot of those people just got massacred when Israel became what it is today. There's a lot of, shootouts and stuff like that, and police like military police kidnappings and right, all this terrible, nasty conspiracies, and a lot of innocent people did die in the formation of modern day Israel, not just like
Yikes.
normal fighting. So that's why this lady is so anti-Israel in the movie. Now, this agent just led this attack on the terrorist cell, and the main character, the female, what's her name again?
The main character female name is
Idal.
Dalia Iyad.
Yeah, who is that?
Dalia Iyad.
Dalia Iyad. Dalia Iyad. So Dalia, she is like she's a hoe in the movie. Okay, she's a spy whore. And at the beginning of the movie, she's banging some other guy who's like Arabic or seemingly Arabic. And she gets up to go to the shower, and this attack happens, this raid happens. And her boyfriend, like the guy she really likes or something, or I don't know if she just sleeps her way through the whole terrorist cell. I don't know if that's how she got in or what. But, Mossad busts in. They do the raid on the house while she's in the shower with all these silenced machine guns. They shoot all the people except for her. And the main character, Mossad agent, Agent Kabakov, he spares her life because he doesn't realize she's like a mastermind. He thinks she's just one of the girlfriends in the shower. And he's like, whoa, she's beautiful. She's innocent. I'm the only one who saw her. I'm just going to close the door. And we killed everyone else. So not a big deal. Well, it turns out after the mission, they hear her on the radio. They hear her transmitting messages, and they realize, oh crap, she's a ringleader. Like she knows she's making decisions. She's just not a nobody. And the agent is kind of starting to. Part of the movie is that this agent, who's a stone cold killer, he's been hunting down Nazis and terrorists for 30 years, we find out in the movie. He's starting to grow a conscience. So after, like American vets, it's like, 4 years in the army. They have like a lifelong of like nightmares and night sweats and terrors. Like after, this guy's been killing, taking care of women, children, seemingly innocent. They make him out to be a stone cold, merciless killer. But he spares his first person, and they kind of make you seem like, oh, he would have taken the shot like before, but on this instance, because she was so beautiful, he didn't, and he considered her humanity for the first time.
He was a good guy.
Exactly. So for the first time, he's like feeling like
sympathy, and
he's like, what is this? What is this feeling? It's like
yeah.
they don't have these feelings in Israel, or so. I'm just teasing, but it's a funny angle that they're kind of taking in the movie, is this stone cold killer is just like starting to feel a conscience after like 30 full years of doing it, like nothing changing. Now he feels like starting to feel something about it. But he also looks a little bit like Netanyahu, young Netanyahu. And Netanyahu, the prime minister of Israel, was in Mossad. He was a spy. And Netanyahu's father was like the lead anthropologist and like Jewish historian who wrote the narrative justifying their settlement of Israel.
He kind of does look like him, bro. What the fuck?
Yeah. So, okay. So the agent spares her life. Let's keep moving along.
The next scene is the SuperbOwl. They show
No,
Los Angeles.
it's just another Just an earlier game.
Yeah, an earlier game.
Yeah. Now this is November 14th, so we're on a lot of 11/11 dates here. It's November, so it's 1114 77. I guess it's 1977. And then the Super Bowl at the end is, or I forget the date. But okay. We're in the airship here. We're in the airship for the first time, and we meet the pilot of the airship. Now, as I've said on a couple other shows, Florida is like the airship capital of America. Florida had the most airship bases at one point. They're one of the friendliest states for airship riding, and one of the few places in America you can still see functioning airships. And the Goodyear blimp, mostly. But it's not just the Goodyear blimp. So the Goodyear blimp's a big like Florida staple, South Florida staple. But we've also talked about people like, we won't bring them up yet. What does Israel have to do with blimps? That's a crazy connection, right? Seemingly nothing, right? Why are there blimps in Scarface? Another very Jew-coded movie. And these are movies made by Jews, about Jews, so we're not taking stabs in the dark here. We're not, pointing at any one group of people any more than they need to. These are movies made by Jews, about Jews. We're just talking about it.
Why is that though? If they do control the media and all that stuff, is it the old world Florida reach around? Maybe
that's exactly what we're not trying to say, Juan. That sentence.
Oh, right I'm curious, dude.
That does. Oh shit! Good point. Why is Alex Stein always saying "pimp on a blimp"?
Ooh.
Great point. Full of hot air. We got jokes tonight. Yeah, Brazil controls the media. Well, that's what we're. Okay, so it turns out that blimps, all this Tartaria, old world technology stuff. Florida was front and center for the whole airship. The age of airships, right? Like 1890s to the 1920s, when airships were really, really big, popular. And then Florida was also front and center for the decommissioning and kind of almost demonization of airships, right? I think movies like this help to demonize or terrorize people about airships. Like, why would I get in an airship? Number one, they're already sketchy and I don't know anything about them. And the only time I see them in movies, it's like Scarface,
throwing people's bodies out of them because there's too much weight. Like, I thought it was like, damn, just a couple of dudes and it's too much weight for this freaking air blimp. Like, you do make a good point where they're trying to paint it in a bad light to not, because they're used for attacks on people, right? So it does make sense.
Yeah. And here, I want to share my screen here. Just to show you guys the history that Florida has with airships. All of these pictures are of airships from Florida. They used to land near Miami. There was a big airship base created by a guy named Glenn Curtis. Look at that.
By the way, the way we got here was you fell for a blimp picture that you thought was real, and it was actually from a scene in this movie. So that's how we stumbled across this movie.
That's true, Juan. You're absolutely right.
Mossad got you, bro.
At least it wasn't AI. Okay, I'll take the L.
Yeah,
I'll take the L on that one. But
it's all good, dude. That's what I'm here for.
They used to land them on the water. Look like that. Look at that. Downtown and all your little towns and cities in Florida.
The Seminoles took a ride in them, right? Because they were shooting at them at one point because they didn't know what it was.
Yeah, let me find that.
We talked about that on, what was that, part 2 of the Scarface episode, right, where we went into ancient blimps and hot air balloons and stuff like that. There it is right there.
Yeah.
You're trying to open up the... That's a picture, I think.
Yeah.
We have 539 in the chat. If you're just joining us, we're talking about Black Sunday 1977 and trying to decode it. It's a very interesting movie because it follows questionable characters that you can't really tell who's the good guy, who's the bad guy. Was it pushing an agenda at the time? Perhaps, right, following this Munich massacre, fresh on people's minds. And there was a movie before that, 1976, which was about a Super Bowl deranged sniper who was taking people out. So,
yeah,
interesting movies.
Well, we might just kind of have to. We might have to breeze through the movie. I've got a list here. What's up on screen is, like Juan was saying, the Seminole Indians of Florida got a chance to take a ride in a blimp because in 1929 they got caught shooting blimps. They were shooting the blimps when they'd go over because they kept landing like in Miami, close to where the Seminoles were living. And they were just shooting them. They like really didn't know what they were, or they were just fucking around, like being bros or whatever. But the government or someone found out it was them and went and had a meeting with them and said, listen, guys, there's people on here. You can't just be shooting at these. You're going to hurt someone. You're going to crash the thing. Let's take you on a ride so you understand what it is and understand you wouldn't want to be shot at if you were in this, right?
So they were when they got taken over. They were just paying it forward, bro.
Yeah.
You know?
So this is the Seminole Indians getting a ride in the Goodyear blimp, 1929.
Damn.
And they're like in 1929, they're largely living outside, barefoot, still in like their little chickie huts and stuff. They're full blown wild, other than the guns and the hunting and stuff. So must have been a crazy sight to see the Seminole Indians going in there. Now, what else about? And if you're a Tartaria guy, have a field day with this. The Seminole Indians actually invented blimps, and that's their way of transportation, and we stole it from them, and whatever. Maybe
they think that?
To that. I'm sure someone's going to say that, but the Tartaria thing with the blimps is sometimes it gets out of hand, out of control. But yeah, the whole Tartaria airship thing. There's a lot of stuff. There's a lot of truth to it. They used to land up in like the Empire State Building and all that shit. That's true. There was a cover-up. There was an attempt to get rid of airships. Why? Because they were clean. Mm-hmm. They're largely clean, at least at first, kind of. By the end, they were just gasoline propelled. So they went out of style because they're loud, smoky, ugly, at least by the end.
No, the first ones ran on free energy, bro. That's what the pointy things on the buildings are for.
That's what
zapping,
they say. Yeah. And it's like a balloon. You take a balloon and you rub the friction on your arm. You see all that. Blimps work a little bit like that. They're pulling this I don't know what type of energy, electricity out of the air.
Aether.
Aether. And in Florida, they're doing this right now. Have you seen the fake search man-made lightning, Florida? There's so many rabbit holes with the airship thing, but let's while Juan's looking at that. Glenn Curtis. Okay, we're going to learn about Glenn Curtis real quick. We've already talked about him a couple times. Glenn Curtis was an inventor, allegedly. Okay. What he's really famous for is breaking a bunch of land speed records on motorcycles. In Florida, that happened in Florida too, up near Daytona and Ormond Beach. And then he was like an airplane guy and an airship guy, and his real job was like taking all these really cool inventions that other people made that were like electric or like, steam powered, and just slapping a gasoline engine on them, a V8, putting a gasoline engine on everything, and then converting it to gas, getting the patent, and then being helped by the gasoline industry to make that patent more popular. That version, the gasoline dependent option would always be the more prevalent, more preferred, more advertised. And that's Glenn Curtis's legacy. Now, he was a very interesting guy. He did stuff that, Juan and I will never achieve, right? Going like 150 miles an hour on
He
a
holds a
motorcycle.
couple land speed records, or did, right?
Yeah, that's
For his
cool stuff.
time.
That's cool stuff. That's badass. But you know what else it tells me? He was a little bit of a thrill seeker, a little bit of a gambler. He'd gamble with his life, right? He'd gamble with these big ideas, and he liked the danger. And I think that can sometimes be the perfect ingredients for like a hustler or a scammer, a charlatan. And that's kind of what Glenn Curtis would turn into. People don't know about him too much now because he was kind of disgraced towards the end of his life, but he is always, consistently remembered as one of the most influential Americans of all time, because he helped invent cameras with Kodak before it became Kodak.
Wow.
He helped make he helped turn bicycles into motorcycles. He helped turn like airplanes into real powered machines, all this stuff. He helped it work on airboats and like a hovercraft type thing, and airships. Big part of it was airships. And he opened or helped popularize an airship base near Miami. And when he got in bed with the Smithsonian, like we've talked about a couple times, he got disgraced because he got caught conspiring with the head of the Smithsonian. The head of the Smithsonian, to rob the Wright brothers, to usurp the Wright brothers and steal their patent, and to give a patent, to give like the gold medal, the first official blank to their friend. And Glenn Curtis helped them fake this, helped them not sabotage, but like the other way around. They added parts to an airplane that was already finished to make it look like it beat the Wright brothers, to make it look like it flew before their plane, when actually Glenn Curtis put those additions on after the fact.
Yeah.
Right?
They put it on display too and they had to take it down.
So the Smithsonian was helping, kind of their idea, the leader of the Smithsonian. And this is kind of the Smithsonian's first major scandal that they got caught in. Now, there was the whole giant bones getting hidden, but that never really got admitted too much. You can find some stuff out there admitting it, but this was a scandal that kind of blew up in their face. And the Wright brothers ended up getting their day in court, and they won. They got their stuff back. So we remember the Wright brothers. We don't remember this guy too much. But eventually Curtis and Wright, their families or their businesses would come together and make Curtis Wright corporation or whatever. Curtis Wright Airplane Company or whatever. So he's an interesting guy, and he actually died in court or shortly after court. Potentially another big, huge conspiracy. Due in court, part of this I think I might be getting this wrong. He either died in court suddenly of like appendicitis.
I believe it was right after, shortly after, because I think I read it last time we were talking about this.
So he's in the middle of a court case or something. Court case, not in
It's
court.
in his Wikipedia if you want to scroll down.
So it's
And also, right, part of South Florida wouldn't be what it is if it wasn't for this guy too.
yeah. So after he got disgraced, like Juan's saying, he went down to South Florida and just changed industries. He just became a real estate developer. And it's interesting. The 3 cities that he made or developed are Opa-locka, Miami Springs, and Hialeah. And Hialeah has a Seminole Indian name. And Glenn Curtis used to go golfing with, look, he was Times Man of the Year or something, or on the cover. On the cover.
1924.
On the cover, at least.
All right, the next section is the death.
There we go.
Right there.
Traveling to Rochester. Oh, so he was on his. Oh, in court. Yeah, okay. I was right. Traveling to Rochester to contest a lawsuit brought by former business partner August Herring. Oh, another plane dispute. Curtis suffered an attack of appendicitis in court. Appendicitis. He died on July 23rd, 1930 in New York. Complications from an appendectomy. His funeral service, blah, blah, blah. So, suspicious sudden death, right? Your appendix kind of can just give out like that.
Mine did.
Did it?
Yeah, I had mine taken out when I was 7. Almost died from it.
Oh, man.
Well, shout out to my appendix.
For real, dude. They cut it out. It's now it's in some Israeli doctors, like private
a
collection.
Container and some
they got Glenn Curtis's and Juan Ayala's right next to each other.
They made a homunculus of mine from from my appendix somewhere.
Yeah.
100%.
Okay, so Glenn Curtis, blah, blah, blah. He goes from being an airship guy to a South Florida, Miami real estate developer. And in fact, his real estate development came to a crashing end when a hurricane came and destroyed like 90% of all his stuff.
Wild.
And that whole thing, his real estate development getting destroyed, and then a similar wave of kind of destruction across across Florida, and some other things like overspending, overlending, people not paying their mortgages, whatever. Just like 2007, 2008.
It was a bubble. Yeah.
1928, 29. Not many people know that the Great Depression, right? Black Friday, or what was it? Was that a Black Sunday or Black Monday?
I think it was
Black Tuesday.
Tuesday or Thursday?
Black Tuesday. See, this is what I know least about financial stuff, okay? But I think it was Black Tuesday or Black Friday, or Black Friday is fucking Thanksgiving, but you know why they call it Black Friday, right?
Why do they call it Black Friday?
Because they can't call it monkey fighting. Because they can't call it
Black Monday, referring to the stock market crash of October 29, 1929, was triggered by a combination of factors, including over speculation in the stock market. So it could have been caused by Florida and everything that went down in Florida.
That's the little known secret ingredient. I was gonna say they call it Black Friday because they can't call it Monkey Fight Friday.
Gonna get demonetized.
No, I'm just. That's Black Friday joke. It has nothing to do with people. It's just a Black Friday joke. And Black Friday, fuck it, YouTube. I don't care. Whatever. Black Friday. We're talking about Black Sunday. We got to talk about all the black days of the week. Okay. We wouldn't be good researchers if we didn't talk about every black day of the week. Black Friday, Black Sunday, Black Monday. Okay. We love everyone and we're only joking. We're comedians. We're actually both Jewish comedians, so we're allowed to say whatever we want. Okay. So keep it moving.
Let me pull this up.
Lou Pearlman. Let's look.
So I brought up the where the hell did it go? I had the here we go. The how you're saying the Florida man-made lightning, Florida, which is interesting, right? Because we have a lot of lightning on random days that aren't storms. You just see the sky light up. You know, they say it's the humidity and whatnot, but apparently they did. Scientists at the International Center for Lightning Research and Testing in Florida have successfully created man-made lightning using a method called rocket-triggered lightning. This involves launching rockets that trail thin copper wires into storm clouds, creating a path for lightning to follow and strike a specific target. This allows scientists to study the physics of lightning. Bro, that's so bizarre. Like, you know, we talk about weather manipulation and all this sort of shit. It's a conspiracy, right? And then they're doing this, where they're launching rockets into storms and creating man-made lightning. That's bananas, dude.
And at the end of the day, this is literally all the Tartaria Antiquitech people are talking about. If you take a copper wire and stick it up in the air, you can pull electricity out of the air. No energy or input needed. If you just know what you're doing with the wiring and electrics, you can pull electricity out of thin air. The higher up you go, the easier it is to do. Whoa. Apparently. You ever seen people at the top of mountains or buildings where they stick their fingers out and they get like lightning bolts sticking off their fingers?
Never seen that.
Never seen that?
Probably another picture you fell for, dude.
No, it's a real thing.
Look how crazy this looks, bro.
Yeah, and that's probably what the blimps are kind of tapping into when they go up to the top of a building like that and dock, connect. Something like this is going on. This isn't crazy, ridiculous conspiracy theories. See, there's something to this. And I'm no Antiquitech expert. I'm no John Levy. Okay. We all know the blimps just took people wherever they wanted to go. Sometimes I don't know where I want to go because I don't know. We didn't build any of that, clearly.
He was the one that fell for AI pictures too, right? The penguins. Look at that statue. It's like a penguin.
Speaking of Israeli Mossad agents, someone should go give a checkup to John Levi.
Is he MIA or CIA? Or...
yeah, he's not MIA. He's CIA. John Levi from the
that was your boy, bro.
No, but he's actually calling in right now. He's got something to say. Well, I just went and took my dog out for a walk and made myself some coffee, and I was just thinking about how we humans never made anything good. How your ancestors were worthless. We're all just ants waiting for the next reset. And sometimes that's okay. Well, your ancestors aren't shit. You didn't build anything. Yeah. I'm not Israeli. My name's Levi, not Levi.
Can you do the rest of the show like that, dude? It's kind of soothing.
Yeah, you see how people get sucked into his videos.
ASMR is mind control. I mean, that's what it is.
It has nothing to do with the content. He's literally just neuro-linguistically programming you. I'm going to expose this guy into oblivion. Okay. And you know what? Some of my most popular videos are the one where I'm like most like trying to be quiet, kind of, or like, just there is something to that. The hypnotic, if you kind of pull people's energy.
I've tried it before. I've done it on a couple of the produced, well, like one or two produced things. I've tried it because Donut tells me to do it too. He's like, if you do the secret voice, people will, it's like it's a whole thing about that. And I think it's
Yeah,
because again, the ASMR stuff, it
I,
taps into something and it's soothing, right? So you sit
yeah,
here and it locks you in, bro. A good
yeah.
narrator locks you in.
It's true. I try and be more spooky. I don't think he's spooky at all. I think he's just energy vampire. He's literally sucking your energy out of the screen.
It happens.
John Levi. Look at that. Look at that.
Look at the penguin.
Oh, look at that.
Look-
We could never build that. He's like, it's like a picture of like a Home Depot shed. He's like, to think the previous civilization just left this here is clearly proof of a. Sorry, that wasn't me. That was John Levy. Obvious. He's looking at like an old blockbuster. Clear proof of Tartaria. I mean, what more do you need to see? All right, that's it. That's it. That's it. Enough of that.
Are we gonna get to this movie, bro? We're an hour in right now, dude, and
Yeah,
we're only
keep going.
17 minutes into this fucking
We'll
movie.
we'll keep skipping. Don't wait. He's let everyone let everyone see it. That's a perfect pace. Perfect pace. The Goodyear blimp plays. The Goodyear blimp on its own is like a main character in this movie. And he's a pirate. Yes, a pirate. He's a pilot. He becomes a pirate.
A pirate.
They,
Oh shit.
sorry guys, my Japanese accent's coming out a little early on this one because
Uh-oh.
yeah, we're at Mossad headquarters here.
No, the Embassy of Israel. I think this is in the States, United States.
Same thing. Hold on. Same
Oh,
thing.
okay. Same thing.
So the Mossad agent's getting grilled. He's like, yes, I should have killed the unarmed woman in the shower. I'm sorry. I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry. I disobeyed Mossad guidelines. Always shoot the unarmed. Always shoot the
Oh
unarmed
shit.
woman in the shower. But that's literally what that scene's about. And he is basically saying, "Oh, we're going to catch him. Sorry, I let him go. We're going to catch him." But that date right there, another significant date, November 17th. Now, did you guys know that that is the QAnon date? That's the number one QAnon date,
Is it? What do they say happened? Well, what's
November
gonna happen?
17th. I don't know, but
Is
17,
JFK gonna resurrect and lead us to
something like
promised
that.
land or what?
Yeah. Let me look it up.
Because you told me that, and I'm like,
So QAnon kind of got started 2017. So there's a 17. And then Trump would always like say drop these 17s and all the the 5D chess that everyone's going crazy about. Yeah, November 17th was like the most prominent QAnon date, and especially the number 17. So this is the boyfriend who is the deranged ex-POW Goodyear blimp pilot with he's got PTSD out the ass.
yeah.
Okay, he's sleeping or like can't sleep in his room by himself with a gun. She walks in. You can't tell that there's any love between them because she was just with another guy earlier in the movie. This guy's by himself in America. She escaped that previous attack. She gets back together with him. We find out that she's manipulating him by dating him, by screwing him. And he thinks that's his lover. He thinks that's his love, the love of his life, like they're in love. She has no emotion for him whatsoever. No compassion, no love for him at all. She's just manipulating him, using him to achieve her goals.
And as he's pointing a gun to her, she's just taking her clothes off, which was really bizarre.
Mm-hmm. And we find out they're together. So that's the second dude in like 10 minutes that she's banged. And here, let me go through my notes. When he gets off the airship earlier in the day, it looks like he has a Bible in his hand. Whether it's like I don't know if it's like the book that they make all their, notes in
Manifesto.
when they're piloting. But when he gets out of the airship, he hands another guy a book that looks just like the Bible. And that's interesting because in a couple scenes later, we find out their next plan is to use explosives that are being sent to them in figurines shaped like Mother Mary, the Virgin Mary.
Mm-hmm.
So they have explosives in the Virgin Mary figurines that are going to get shipped to America. And he's building this boat that they're going to put explosives in to like the hull of the boat so they can turn it into a bomb and kind of like drop it over the Super Bowl.
Like shrapnel.
Yeah. And so she's manipulating him, total Mossad agent. Mossad is like the best at that, by the way, if you ever look that up. It's very, very common for Mossad agents to like sleep with people, live with them, become their wives even, and be Mossad agents the whole time. And it's a real thing. So that happens in this movie, and he was in the Navy, I guess. He got caught. He's out now. He's a pilot. And there's only like I think there's only like 30 airship pilots in the whole world right now. There's that few. And he's one of them. 50 years ago or so. Now, he was MK Ultra, it seems, and he talks about having erectile dysfunction before he met her. And so that kind of tells you something. Like his first marriage fell apart because he was a prisoner of war. He got back. He wasn't normal. The wife broke up with him, was cheating on him anyway and stuff.
That's a popular thing to say though when people are trying to get their disability, because I know a few people who claim that so that they get their disability from
PTSD.
No, from the army. Like they just say that they just can't get it up, and they like usually sign
really?
up. Yeah, bro, because they're making a bunch of money a month, and if you get 100% disability, you get a shitload of money. So
Damn.
I'll fake ED to get $8,000, $10,000 a month, whatever it is, because they make a lot of money from it.
I fake ED all the time. I don't even get paid for it. I'm
Exactly, bro. But hey, that's a Florida connection, right? Fountain of Youth.
They call me ED Lead Scownin. Okay, dude, I got to make that my name on it.
That should be a shirt.
ED Lead Scownin. Okay. So whatever, they're talking about the plan. He's trying to get his plan. He's talking about boners and about how he's all normal now. He's like, "Oh yeah, I'm all good now, man. I got this." Well, to be fair, she's not a Mossad agent.
She's part of the terrorist group.
Yeah, technically she is Israeli, German Israeli, but she's not pro-Israeli. So keep going. Skip a little ahead.
Oh, right here, 11/22, which is JFK and 33. So
Illuminati confirmed.
Yeah, the time frame from this movie, it's like November to New Year's. It's like November to January. And November 22nd is the date that JFK was assassinated. Many, many people believe that to have been done by Mossad.
No.
Israel. Yeah, people claim that.
Is it true he was like gonna cut off funding to them or something like that? Like it was like they were starting to get traction of getting funding and he was gonna cut it off. And so that's why they did that.
Apparently JFK was gonna label
he was based, bro. I'm just kidding.
JFK was based, pretty based in some regards.
We saw what happened to him.
Yeah, that was what happens to this Japanese guy in a couple scenes.
Yeah,
So
exactly. Maybe that's like a signal sort of thing, right? Poking
it
fun
is.
at it, like, hey, you fuck with us, you get the cap back blue peeled back, you know?
Yeah. Now, at this point in the movie, there's weapons and resources coming in from Japan. So the Japanese or some Japanese group is aiding the pro-Palestinian terrorists, and that's happened. So in the 70s and the 80s, a lot of the groups that were sympathetic to the PLO and Black September, a lot of them were Asian countries, some of them Japanese, who didn't like Israel, hated them so much so that they're willing to fight and do these attacks and stuff. And it was a real thing. Now, there's also something else that's going on in the movie. There's jabs being taken at Japan by Israel in like the writing of this movie. And they're kind of addressing this blood beef, right? This blood feud or beef between Japan and Israel. And a big part of that is World War II. You know, the Japanese were with the Germans. It was the Japanese, the Germans, the Italians. Now, pretty much everyone else was on their side too at the beginning of the war. But by the end of the war, it was just Germany and Japan, right? Against most of the world. So, you know, maybe there's some bad blood off of that. But there's another part that we're going to get into after this guy's head blows off. So there's two Mossad agents that we get to know at the beginning. The main character, Kabakov, and then his assistant. His assistant is like a total scoundrel. No remorse, even less than him. Total scoundrel, willing to fight dirty. They want information out of this Japanese captain because they suspect that he was aiding the Palestinian terrorists. And he thinks they can't hurt him because he's in America. And this is what the movie kind of is getting at. The Mossad agents are running around like they are the police, like they can do whatever they want in America, and that laws don't apply to them. And there's even a scene here, a quote that he says when he's holding that Japanese dude, the knife up to his neck. He says to him, "Forget about the law, land or sea. We are the law."
Mm.
This is like one of Mossad's mottos. Forget about the law, because the Japanese guy's like, "Oh, what are you gonna do? You're gonna kill me? You know, like you can't do that." And the Mossad agents go, "You know, dare us. Find out what you're about to find out. Forget about the law, land or sea. We are the law." Like they're willing to bend any rule, go as far as they need to. And also Mossad's motto is, what's Mossad's motto?
$5.
By way of deception, you will wage war. By way of
No.
deception. Yep. By way of deception, you will wage war.
Like for real?
Yeah. Go look it up. That's Mossad's official motto.
Where no
Wow.
wise direction is, the people fall, but in the multitude of counselors, there is safety.
Well, that's not. Look at the other one. That's one of their mottos. Look at their main motto.
Oh, where'd you find it? Pull it up. Oh, by way of deception. Yeah, I see that one. By way of deception. Without deception, the nation falls. What? Who says something like that, bro?
Steven with the $5 says, "I would sooner trust helium and buoyancy than stabilizers, fins, drag, wings, etc. on over-engineered flying tubes of metal." True. Jason Pellish, member for 8 months. Pray for people who are praying. True. P Anonymous just became a member. Congrats, bro. Congrats. Thank you. Well, okay.
So apparently there's even a book by Way of Deception, and it's English translation of the former motto of the Mossad, a phrase from Proverbs 24:6. By wise counsel you shall engage in war.
I
Huh.
wonder how that got twisted to by deception.
Oh, and check this out. Look. In Beirut, that killed several hundred U.S. Marines in
Yeah.
Lebanon.
Yeah, the bombing of Beirut.
What? He says that Mossad learned of the time and location of the attack in advance through its networks of informants, but only told general information without the specifics to the. Bruh.
Yeah.
That's wild, man. Like, again, this is like.
And in this movie, they decide to keep the president in place. Now,
Yeah.
the Mossad agent is kind of arguing, oh, we should get him out of here. But the people who are pulling the strings are saying, no, let's leave him right there. This isn't, no, let the president stay. You know, it kind of points a little bit, especially with the dates involved in this movie, to JFK.
Yeah.
To presidents not listening to Israel and suffering the consequences. Kind of. But okay, moving along. They're pretty much about to beat the crap out of this. Oh, no, go back. You skipped. We got to watch where his head blows off.
Oh, well,
that's
I passed that part. It got twisted somewhere.
Sorry.
Here. You want to see his head get blown off, bro? Here.
Yeah. So they're holding the Japanese guy, holding a knife up to him, and then they're playing like bad cop, good cop. The bad cop, the bad Mossad agent goes outside. And he it's just
shit. Bro, you didn't even see it coming. They pulled the JFK on him, dude.
Yeah. See if you
right
can
here. Hurrah!
Who is this?
Boom, dude. Merc. Yeah. Just like JFK.
Yeah.
You see this dude's face, like he knows what's up too. He's like, see, he opens his eyes a little bit.
And there's a little bit of voodoo dolling going on, because earlier they take the Virgin Mary. Remember, the explosives are in the Virgin Mary, not in this scene, but that scene. Yeah. And he takes the Virgin Mary and breaks her head off. Now, that wouldn't happen in a Christian movie, okay, where they break the Virgin Mary's head off for no reason, just to like show what's inside, you know? Not her hand, not her leg. Breaks her head off. Then the dude's head explodes. Kind of a little voodoo doll thing going on there, a little bit. But the Japanese guy's like, fuck you, Israel. He's like, I'm going to tell you anything. And then he's like, they get the phone call. And he answers like Juan said. He goes, Harry. And his head explodes.
Boom, dude.
Like the pager. Like the pagers in Israel, you know, they
I heard about that, where they were triggering them.
They put explosives in all of Hamas's like cell phones and pagers, and every time they'd get a call, they'd explode. Pretty crazy. Now listen, after this scene, the Mossad agent, he goes, yeah, it was a telephone activated bomb. The Mossad agent.
We forgot to tell him.
No, it's almost like that. Almost. I think it's a British agent is telling the Mossad guy, yeah, all he had to do is like answer and say something, and when he said something, that made the phone explode. And then the Mossad agent, he just survived the explosion. The Japanese guy didn't. He's in the hospital bed. He's getting told this. He's getting told about the exploding phone trick. And he's like, yeah. He's like, we know about that one. He's like, we use that too. He's like, I should have known. We use that technology as well.
Yikes, dude! They forgot to let him know, bro. He got fucked up.
So if we keep going along, also he's in a Catholic hospital, which is pretty funny. The nurses are taking good care of him. But let's go to the Japanese part. Since we're going all out on this, since we're just going all out, okay. Pause it, Juan. Let me
Hurrah!
share something. Yeah, we got to get to
All right,
this.
shit.
I've got a cool little connection here that we got to watch. Have you ever heard of the Tengu?
Yeah, I think so.
You know what the Tengu is?
Yeah, I've heard about it. I don't know what it is.
Okay, well, we're going to watch a little bit of Japanese TV. Now, this is comedy. We're just reacting. We're trying to explain this movie. But
Oh, yes, I have heard about this, and I actually wrote a little bit about this because the Shinto religion believed that climbing mountains gave you superpowers. So they worship mountains, and they thought that scaling mountains would give you different powers, and depending on which peak you conquered, you would get a different set of powers, including shapeshifting and shit like that.
Now, dude, this is a show. So in Japan,
What the fuck is this?
in Japan, there's like a race of like demons, like mythological race.
I know where you're going. Yeah.
Okay. And they call them the Tengu. Now they claim, or it's alleged, that the Tengu were inspired. They have like long noses. They have like kind of snarled faces. And they wear like little hats, and they always are holding scrolls. Like they have the Torah in their hand and like a little hat. And their symbol is like the Star of David. So Japan did like a TV show, a Japanese TV show on this, where yeah, it's a series. It's a series that's actually pretty flattering to the Jewish people and to Israel, and kind of exploring the ancient Hebrew influences in Japan. But there's this one part of the documentary that's really, really funny, a little based, pretty spicy, but pretty funny and kind of innocent too. No hatred involved, just like curiosity and speculation. But let's get into it. Hopefully we won't get flagged too hard on this.
We will.
It is like Japanese TV or something, but all right.
Oh, shout out the channel.
All right, this channel is Nocturnal Kawano. This is recorded from TV Tokyo. New Theory, Mysteries of Japan, Similarities of Hebrew and Japanese, Gion Festival, Isaac Festival at Suwa, Tengu, Sumo, Mount Sarugi, the Hata clan, etc. This is a series. The roots of Japan were ancient Israel. Part 4 of 7. And we're going to watch a little bit of part 5 of 7.
Someone said 10 Jews.
古代イスラエル人だった。天狗。その姿はヤブシの超族に大きな
Hey, don't move us.
翼。
Don't move us. No.
高く光らせた鼻にギョロリとした目。
Where do you want it?
Put us back.
天狗は内輪と山で修行をした者に与える虎の巻を持
He's
つ。
got the Torah in his hand.
日本各地に残る天狗伝説。風を呼び火を沈め奇跡を起こす山の神として崇められている。だがこの天狗伝説の中に奇妙なユダヤの痕跡を発見した。
Moses, right? Mountain.
我々は京都へ向かった。目指すのは鞍馬寺。
That ledger on deck.
あの鞍馬の天狗で有名な天狗伝説の代表格である。そのご本尊の姿はやはり天狗。そしてたどり着いたのはあるお堂の前。 そこはあの牛若丸が天狗から虎の巻を授けられたという場所だった。だがそこに
あれなんかこれ
我々は驚くべきものを目にする。
I'll be right back.
そんな簡単にそんなお前ほら
凍った雪の下に何があるのか。
なんかほら見えてるこのこの形ダビデの星
Oh shit.
Illuminati
この穴になんと
confirmed.
ダビデの星。
Yikes.
ダビデっていうのは古代イスラエル王国を築いた王様の名前ですね。ダビデの星。
Looking for
まさ
shekels.
にイスラエルを象徴するもんですね。
現在もイスラエルの
Yo, where the
国に描かれる
subtitles,
ダ
bro?
ビデの星。1世紀頃のイスラエルの遺跡からも発見されているこのイニシアのシンボルが
I don't know what the fuck these
天狗
assholes
の
are
怒りの深
saying.
い鞍馬寺に残されているのは一体なぜなのか。
Oh, there it is. So they
There's-
find the star on the ground. But hold on, dude. Isn't that star like a universal, like the swastika, you know, where it's been used throughout a bunch of ancient cultures, then it was taken and perverted by
Who
Germany.
perverted it? Well, who perverted what? I don't see any perversion.
Germany when they did all that stuff, allegedly, right?
I must be out of the loop on that. I don't know.
You know, it's all right.
I don't know about any symbols getting turned bad. Symbols are symbols, and people get emotional over nothing. You know. Oh, my ex-boyfriend used to really like that song, so now that song's evil. Nice,
Talk about
nice,
Kanye West's new song.
very mature attitude, people. But okay, let's keep going. This symbol is used in connection with the Tengu. It's not just randomly, not just a random thing.
深まる謎を解く鍵は福岡県豊前市にあった。目の前に現れた険しい山こそがかつて天狗が住んでいたという久保手さん。この
Make sure to read the subtitles, guys.
そこには5世紀携帯天皇の時代に山に現れた魔物の話が書かれている。
A
一
goblin.
体どんな魔物だったのか。
Fucking goblin.
我々は山のふもとにある資料館を訪ねた。
なります天狗についていろいろ調べて
すると館長があるものを見せてくれるという。
じゃあちょっとここでお待ちいただけますか。
入らないんですねはい
それは一般の人は立ち入ることのできない収蔵庫にひっそりと保管されていた。山に現れた魔物の正体とは。出てきたのは一枚の曼荼羅だった。
岩屋坊っていう山伏の家に伝わってる天狗曼荼羅ですね。
天狗マンダラ
はい。
天狗曼荼羅。ここに描かれたものこそ久保手さんの魔物だという。その顔はまさに天狗。しかもまるで生身の人間を描き写したかのように描かれている。
想像っていうんじゃなくて実際に、何がしかのモデルがあってああいう絵が描かれたんだと思いますけどもね。
モデルがやっぱりあった
うん。
なんと天狗にはモデルがいた。そして曼荼羅の天狗はあの井戸屋の面と上2つ。天狗、その正体はやはり古代イスラエル人なのか。
Bro, how does this make him look? Was he really
さ
in
らに
Israel?
我々にもたらされた驚くべき情報が。
天狗が頭にこうつけている黒い小さな箱があり
Oh,
ま
and they
す
have
ね。
a box on their
古金という
forehead
もので
too?
すけども、実はユダヤにも同じようなものがあります。
なんと天狗の時計がユダヤにも存在する。それは本当なのか。我々は東日本唯一のユダヤ教団を訪ねた。すると。
こんにちは。こんにちは。Nice to meet you.
Rabbi.
can you?
He looks like the Tengu, bro. Look at that dude.
He's like, oh, konnichiwa. Dude,
What does this mean, bro?
dude, look at the lady. The lady in the corner is like, holy shit, that's a Tengu.
Yeah. What does this mean? Like, does this mean that?
Don't say anything. Just don't say anything. Just don't. I know what you're going with that.
I don't.
迎えてくれたのは代表の
I'm not going anywhere with it. I'm curious as to what this means. What do you think it means? Because I've never heard about this. This is the first time hearing about this. I thought you were gonna bring something else up that I saw on Twitter or something where it was like a little demon that had a a beak and people. You know how X is, bro. X is all antiseptic.
This is a disgusting anti-Semitic trope that we are simply addressing in the context of the movie with the bad blood between the Japanese and the Israelis. This is the only way we could have explained that deeper rabbit hole. Okay. That entire movie, the entire Black Sunday movie is Tengu coded. Okay.
Let's call him that from now on, bro. Tengu.
Okay. I'm down.
Bro, so wait a minute.
I'm down.
All right. Listen, so we have these goblin demons from Japanese mythology with the scrolls, right? The debt ledger, as somebody said earlier. And this guy looks awfully similar as a descendant of these Tengu. But do you think this is similar to David Icke's Reptilian? Because a lot of people say that that's Tengu coded as well, where it's like, oh, he's actually referring to the Tengu, these reptilian beings, and it's actually very antiseptic,
Yeah. Speaking of, since we're laying it all out there,
be serious.
Since we're laying it all out there,
I can't see it. What is that? Amber Alert. Oh man, I saw it. Turn your screen on. Can't see it. Yikes. Yep.
Wonder if Mossad's behind that one too.
Not a good look.
Let's try and make it to the Miami, the port of Miami before they put her on an evergreen container, ship her over to the Tengu. Yo, these people in the corner are cracking me up.
Oh my god, bro.
We have something similar. 似てる。
やはり似たものがあるという。
ここからは三井不動産。
Oh, he goes in and he walks out with it. He walks out with he puts it on. He puts all the stuff on, and then the Japanese people. I think I already know it. The Japanese people in the studio, they're like, "Whoa!"
No, bro. They picked this guy. They hand selected this guy for this segment because they knew what they were doing. They're like, we got a synagogue for you. And they took him there to see this specific rabbi because he checks all the boxes when it comes to the Tengu. This is the first time I'm hearing about this, bro. It's crazy.
He's like, I'll be right back. I'll be right back. The music, it's like they blur it.
We doubted our
They blur it.
He is indeed a Tengu. Oh my god.
イザヤ教徒の祈りの時の装束。その姿はまさに天狗。
何乗っけてんの？
この頭につけた小さな箱はヒラクリティといい、中に戒律が書かれた紙を入れる神聖なものだという。さらに彼はユダヤ人にとって最も大切だというヘブライ語で書かれた旧約聖書を見せてくれた。しかしその名前を聞いて我々は耳を疑った。
This guy's like, oh great, now he's like, now I have to move to Korea.
He's about to open up a port. My wife is actually half Japanese too.
Really?
Yeah.
And what's the other half?
Brazilian, but real Brazilian, not Tengu Brazilian, like legitimate South American Brazil. So
this Torah scroll.
なんとトーラーの巻物、あの虎の巻のことなのか。ユダヤ教徒は修行を終えたその証にトーラーの巻物を読み与えられる。
Dude,
天狗を持つ虎の巻物。
no way.
Bro, they did him dirty. Oh man, they did him dirty, dude. Is that the name of the scroll of the Torah no Maki? Is that what they call it? Like for real?
I think so.
Yeah, Juminati confirmed.
修行の後に渡される特別なもの。牛若丸が鞍馬の天狗から授かったと言われるあれである。 一体なぜやはり天狗は古代イスラエル人なのか。
That's
古代イスラエルには山を
やはり天狗は古代イスラエル人なのか。
that's Rabbi Schneerson, who's the leader of the Chabad Lubavitch. He was the most recent significant Jewish figure that people think was the Messiah. They think he was the Messiah.
Are you being serious right now? Like that's who that
Yep.
really is?
Yeah, the guy on the right. That's the head of the Chabad Lubavitch, which is
So part of the Tengu mythology is they are considered to be part of the Shinto religion and sometimes regarded as gods or supernatural beings. Tengu are believed to be mischievous and sometimes violent, yet also have a protective side, especially for those who live in or visit the mountains.
Tell us how you really feel, Caroline.
What's wrong? What's wrong, Caroline?
I don't know.
Seem a little angry there.
She must be Japanese or something.
She must be Tengu. It's all right, dude. It's gonna be okay. We're
right.
just that's the show. That's not us.
This is the movie. We're still watching the movie, guys. This is
We're connecting the dots. Why don't you tell
古代
me?
イスラエルには
Really?
山
What
を
the
聖
fuck
な
your
るところ
problem
と
is?
して捉えることがありました。彼らは山でお祈りをしたり、あるいは山に行って身を清めたり、そういう、一種の修行のようなこと、あるいは礼拝行為をしていたろうと。そういう姿とか、あるいは顔形を見てですね、人々がだんだんとその天狗というイメージを膨らませていたんじゃないだろうか。
かつて山岳信仰と最先端技術を持って渡来してきたと思われる古代イスラエル人。その姿や力を目にした日本の人々は彼らを山の神と崇めていた。政権の中枢のみならず民衆にも影響を与えていた古代イスラエル人。
I do
さ
love
らに我々
bagels.
はそのつながりを求め調査を続行する。
これね見てやっぱりこの番組の面白さをね、大体全部調査続行中で終わるんですよ。でも毎回続行中がちゃんとこうよりすごい話になって出てくるところがすごいねこれね。
What a great program this is.
これは一番ショックだった。
It's a very interesting.
さあそして VTR にもと
Wow, bro. This is mind-blowing information.
I know, right? Now we can't.
It would
go...
seal the deal if he did have a bagel.
Now
right.
we can't go. Yeah. Well, we can't go all the way down that rabbit hole. But
which, by the way, I think in the movie they actually do pass the port of Miami, don't they, in Star Island? Or am I wrong on that? I could have swore I saw it in one of the scenes.
Well, yeah, when that boat comes in, the Japanese boat comes in to supply the terrorists.
And the helicopter scene too at the end.
Yeah, that's I think the port of Miami, just like in the 70s, so it probably looked a little different. But all right, moving along. Man, we got a whole lot more to talk about, but
Caroline's having a schizophrenic breakdown in the chat. The fuck are you talking to? All right. Let me pull the movie back up. Oh, she's talking to herself. You fucking loser, dude.
Why are you angry, Caroline? Lay off the white wine, okay? Sorry, you're getting a little timeout for the night, okay? We're gonna put you a little timeout. Sleep it off. All right, we're like a third of the way through the movie. Just start booking it through the movie. I've got all these links, dude.
All right, so the Tengu connection was an interesting one. I wasn't expecting that tonight.
Yeah. So that's why the Japanese people are helping the anti-Israelis, something like that. And okay. After 30 years of this is the note I wrote to myself. After 30 years of killing the innocent, he is starting to grow a conscience. Like he's reaching a struggle. Okay, so the assassin chick disguises as a nun and assassinates or kills the guy's partner. So he has to leave the hospital. Now, interestingly, it's a fluoride injection. She injects him with fluoride. Interestingly enough, it is a poison. And also,
I just caught that.
a couple scenes from now, we get. Oh, also, yeah, he walked into this guy's office, Mossad agent in America, threatens to kill him, puts a gun in his mouth.
Which I thought the suppressed revolver was kind of sick. Like I'd never seen that before, and I thought it was pretty dope. He's got a suppressed revolver, and he's just putting in this dude's mouth, just like.
Yeah, only certain revolvers can do that. Otherwise, it doesn't do anything. Like the what would you call it? The cylinders have to be like pressurized. Like
have to be Mossad cylinders, yeah.
And yeah, contain all that stuff inside. But yeah, it can happen. It is a real thing. And so a couple scenes later, yeah, in this scene, and this is just another example of Mossad. What are they doing? Are they normalizing the activity of Mossad in America? Are they normalizing Mossad acting with impunity as if they're the ultimate? They have the ultimate jurisdiction over all America. That's kind of like what the movie's about. You'd think this is like James Bond or something, but it's an Israeli Mossad agent in Florida, just like doing whatever he wants. But okay. So we get some background on the lady. She's German, born in Israel. Her parents were killed by Israelis, and her mother died of typhus. Typhus, people, anybody? Okay.
No, is that?
Well, we got 6 million reasons to talk about typhus, but maybe it's only never mind.
300,000.
Okay. Something like that, yeah. Yeah. But so the next
What the
scene
fuck are you talking about, bro?
What was I talking about? The mother of the terrorist died of typhus. And I'm just saying, a lot of people died from typhus. A lot of people died from typhus.
I'm not catching on.
Apparently, that's what all the people who died during World War II, the innocent people who lost their lives in the camps and stuff, it's been claimed that most of them were suffering from typhus, that's why they were skinny. But we're not going to get into that. Okay, that's all we're going to say about it. So that's why they were shaving their heads, because lice spread typhus. That's a missing part of the story they don't tell us about.
So they're trying to save him, I guess.
Well, they're just trying to keep everything clean. You know, the same reason a soldier gets his head shaved. Same reason, like whatever. Okay, moving on. Mossad. Basically, they don't wear a uniform too. They're just dressed as like everyday people, which I thought was interesting. But okay, Mossad. Yeah, they're in the movie. Now the terrorists test their weapon on random civilian.
Yeah.
So they find someone in the middle of nowhere and test their new weapon idea on him. But okay. And then moving along, yeah, just kind of skip towards the end of the movie. There's not too much else that happens.
They take a picture of this guy.
That's pretty much all my notes on this one.
December 6th. Oh, I was going to say Jan 6th, but it's not. They're flexing in front of the monument.
Yeah, he blackmails this guy in front of the Washington Monument. This is another thing, like Mossad agent walking around like he's the only guy with a big dick in all of America. He can do whatever he wants. Blackmails like a senator on the lawn in Washington, D.C. Threatens him. Either blackmails or threatens him for information.
Here we go. I think this is where they show the port a little bit, right? Isn't it near? No, it's not.
That's the Miami Causeway, I think. But okay, so they're getting ready for the attack. and all this stuff. She's manipulating him still. She meets with this new guy. They're talking about the plan. He wants her to come back. He wants her to cancel. She says no, she's going to go on. And okay, so it's the day of. There's this shootout. This terrorist. There's a shootout. Okay, what's interesting is when the shootout happens, there's like all these construction guys. There's like all these like people at work, like hotel valet. But as soon as the shooting starts happening, they all whip out guns and they're all Mossad agents. like everyone working on the street. Like,
is that why there's so much road construction on I-4? Because they're actually all Mossad agents.
They could be.
And they're just ready, bro.
They could be.
Damn.
Now they chase that guy into the ocean. They get him. They realize that it's going to be the blimp.
Which, by the way, real quick, isn't that the same location where they did Scarface? Isn't that like Sunset Drive or whatever it's called?
Collins
or whatever the name is. Like that iconic front.
Yeah,
you know,
I think it's Collins. Yeah.
Which is interesting, right? Because Scarface is kind of anti-Tengu too. And like this whole movie is like super soldier type of thing.
Well, they realize it's going to be that the attack's going to be at the Super Bowl. They just don't know how yet. And they warn, they say, we need to get the president out of there. We need to cancel the game. But the people who are pulling the strings, they say, no, we can't cancel the Super Bowl. And
the show must go on.
They say, yeah, the president's got to be there. President's got to be there. So even though they know a terrorist attack is coming, they can't do it, or they can't do anything about it. Now he finds out that he has been, he's been replaced as the pilot for the day of. The plan is to drive the Goodyear blimp over the Super Bowl and detonate like a bomb on the bottom that will shoot all this shrapnel into the crowd. And their plan is about to get foiled or about to get blocked because he's not the pilot anymore. So she goes and kills the pilot so that her boyfriend can be the pilot because they need him to be the one and only pilot. So it's the day of. Skipping ahead, it's the day of again. He's pouring her heart out to her. She's just like, oh my God, will you shut up already? Like, can we just get this attack done already? And all this stuff. So yeah, there's the pilot getting shot. And that's all of my notes. But I've got all of these crazy links and articles and stuff. But basically, the movie ends where they almost get it done. They almost get the blimp. They do get the blimp to kind of crash into the Super Bowl, but it does. The bomb doesn't go off. They pull it out over the water, and it goes off over the water. So
it just drags on, dude. Like,
yeah.
Oh my God, just end already.
This ending fight scene. Or chase scene, it's pretty hilarious. Total like, you know, it's
Tom
like
Cruise style, bro.
It's like a fast-paced chase, but it's a blimp, so they're going like 0 miles an hour, and he rappels down onto the blimp and like hooks it with the helicopter. Then they drag the blimp over the water.
Then he lights a fuse, bro. It's like the slowest fuse ever.
Yeah.
Oh my. So here they're dragging it away.
So when it explodes, the movie just ends. No hugs, no thank you, no celebration.
Old Juban got him, dude.
Yeah. Just ends. And, you know, I don't think it was the worst movie ever. Personally, I think Edward Scissorhands was a million times worse than this. But let's just do a greatest hits. I've got all these articles. We don't have time to dig into all of them. Let's just do a greatest hits of Israeli intelligence operations in Florida. How does that sound, people? Okay, let's get into it. So, going in order here, no particular order, just the order that I sent them to myself. Here's a headline. This is from 2002.
Can't see your screen, dude.
So it needs to be said that of all the states in America, Florida is the one that has the most links to Mossad and the most Mossad activity. In fact, we have like Israeli intelligence offices in Florida, like IDF support offices, regional offices in Florida. So the IDF has responded to different emergencies in Florida, like the Surfside apartment collapse, where the building collapsed in Miami Beach, North Miami.
That was weird.
Apparently, John McAfee had a apartment there. That's just a rumor. I've got an article on that too. Here's an article from 2002 from the Tehran Times. So a little biased, but U.S. breaks up major Israeli spiring. You know what? We need to get to that one a little bit later because this one comes after 9/11. So it's really... Okay, we're going to try and go in order of chronologically. Who's ever heard of Cheryl Bentov? You ever heard of her, Juan?
No.
Okay. Cheryl Bentov, or Tov, born Cheryl Hannon in 1960, is an American real estate agent and former Mossad agent, Israeli Mossad agent, who became well known in 1986 when, under the name Cindy, she persuaded former Israeli nuclear technician Mordecai Vanunu to go with her to Rome in the context of an extraordinary rendition, with the purpose of ultimately taking him to Israel. Vanunu faced a secret trial and was sentenced to 18 years in prison, spending nearly 12 of them in solitary confinement. Vanunu publicly released confidential information on Israel's nuclear reactor and stated that Israel had created nuclear weapons, becoming the sixth nuclear power and the first since the 1968 Treaty on the Non-Proliferation of Nuclear Weapons. A feature in the Times, of which Israel was not a signatory. A feature in the Times revealed that Hannon was American-born, but had moved to Israel as a teenager. Hannon grew up in Pennsylvania and Orlando, Florida, in a Jewish family. Her father, Stanley Hannon, had founded Allied Discount Tires. Yeah, come on in for Discount Tires. We're an old family-owned local business. You can trust us, folks. No ties to Israeli intelligence, whatever. Okay, so you get it. Now she works as a real estate agent in Northeast Orlando, Florida, with her husband and their two daughters. In 1988, newspaper journalists traced her to her home in Netanya, where she still owns a villa that she rents out. Okay.
Oh, read that last part. She was either FBI or CIA. The same thing. Mossad agent.
Mm-hmm.
You know? Spent a week with her. I saw her picture. Cindy was a young woman from Philadelphia. So she's still around kicking then, right? She's in my neck of the woods, Orlando.
She's only like 20. No, sorry. She was only like 26 during this, so she is like 64 right now. Yeah, she's only like 64, 65.
Damn.
But yeah.
That's wild, dude.
So she was from Florida a little bit, headquartered in Florida for a little bit. And that happened a little bit after this movie. So a little predictive programming there, a little bit of softening the blow for when people find out that Mossad is operating.
That's why tires are so expensive, dude.
Tires. Yeah.
Goodyear. I mean, it makes sense, right?
Oh. Good point.
Illuminati
We
confirmed.
gotta look into Goodyear, bro.
Well, no, Firestone. Firestone was Jewish.
Was he?
And he was friends with Henry Ford. And him and Henry
Yeah, they were
Ford,
all up in Florida. Yeah.
him and Henry Ford used to debate like Judaism. Yeah.
What are you doing?
What?
I see you banning people. Is that you?
No, that's not me.
Oh, that's
I don't
not you.
ban.
You got
No, that's not
moderators
me.
now, bro?
No, yeah. It must be a moderator. Yeah. Just okay, so yeah, I don't know who's behind Goodyear family.
Probably
Let's see.
David.
Goodyear family. Come on, I'm looking for an early life section. Goodyear, I don't see anything on the Goodyear family.
No, I looked it up. I didn't find any Tengu connections.
But the Firestone family, they were Tengu. Firestone, tire and rubber.
And he was
And they-
trying to open up here in Florida. They were experimenting with the rubber trees in Florida, or they
Yeah.
were planting rubber trees in Florida, trying to get them to so that they could produce here. He had a lab and everything, right? In South Florida, Southwest Florida, I think it was.
Yeah.
Or doing like alchemy and stuff out there.
Harvey Firestone. Yeah. He was Jewish. And he was friends with Ford, and they went on a road trip together, and they would debate and like argue about this stuff. But yeah. So there is a little bit of a Tengu fire rubber industry connection, you know.
Gotta be kosher tires, dude. Ford wrote the International J, and there was a heavy equipment company called TAC.
Yep.
Called what?
Yep.
You wrote what?
That's true. That's true. Oh, and also, dude, you know what I just found? You want to see this? Okay. Look at this shit. Dude, we're going to get into this. We're kind of jumping around timeline-wise, but dude, you tell me what this is. Read this out loud.
Mossad.
We're
Mossad
on
agents.
We're on ZipRecruiter, people. We're on ZipRecruiter.com.
How much do they make? What's the yearly
an hour? 26 an hour? Well, that's just what's on the books. Okay. Guys, who wants to become a Mossad agent in Alafaya, Florida?
Fucking ZipRecruiter. Michelin tires.
Alafaya. Hebrew. Alafaya sounds like a Hebrew word.
Tires were actually modeled after bagels. Damn, dude.
Yo, good point.
The fucking chat's going in.
Rings of Saturn, dude. Dude, that's what a bagel is. It's the ring of Saturn. Holy shit. Okay. Who wants to become a Mossad agent on
Where do we apply?
ZipRecruiter, I guess. Mossad agent salary in Alafaya, Florida. Is this hilarious or what?
That's wild, dude.
I just found this searching Florida Mossad. As of June 5th, 2025, the average hourly pay for a Mossad agent in Alafaya.
You can't trust anybody in Florida, dude.
Damn.
How much does a roadside construction worker make?
I thought that was pretty funny. Now, let's see. How far back can we go with this?
Alafaya is Orlando.
The next big thing that really happened was Lou Pearlman. Can you pull up Lou Pearlman, please? We didn't really talk about him. He's Jewish, and he's like the biggest airship mogul in Florida. We didn't really get to talk about him.
We've talked about him plenty.
Yeah, we have talked about him a bunch before. But this is the guy who started all the boy bands in Florida. NSYNC, Backstreet Boys, all of them. I mean, those are the two most famous right there. He's this super obese, weird guy. Yeah, he's dead. dead now, died in prison, but he ran a Ponzi scheme, $300 million or more, and they found him in Bali, but he did flee to Israel for a short time. Fled to Israel. He was running around the world trying to escape the authorities. Went to Israel for a little bit. And yeah, he's the guy who at one point owned like a lot of airships in Florida and would rent them out for movies, commercials, things like that. He is the cousin of Garfunkel from Simon and Garfunkel. I'm gonna do here. This is Hello Darkness, my old friend. Or sorry, this is The Sound of Silence performed by John Levy. Hello darkness, my old friend.
Doesn't slap that much.
Comes all right. But yeah. So that's Lou Pearlman.
That was the true blimp pimp.
It's the pimp on a blimp. He's the actual pimp on a blimp.
Yeah.
Sorry to Alex Stein.
Is he Jewish?
Yes, Alex Stein, for wishing he was Lou Pearlman. But okay. Also, since we're talking about Mossad, I have to talk about this. There's a homeless guy, our resident homeless guy here at downtown Lake Worth Beach, is an ex-Mossad agent.
Dude.
You think I'm kidding?
Believe a homeless guy.
Juan, you don't know.
That's like Caroline in the chat right now saying that she's probably a Mossad agent, but you gonna believe a homeless dude? Didn't you have a homeless?
Caroline, let's just keep it real for a sec, okay? Everyone's welcomed here. Everyone can say whatever they want. I'm never gonna ban you over saying things that you know like that, okay? You're welcome here. You know what? Actually, I'm gonna ban you just because I don't like you, okay? So don't let the door hit you in the blue waffle on the way out, okay? Don't let the door hit you in your
I'm sure she's a good lady.
Caroline can suck my balls. Get out of here. Peace. Okay, Lou Pearlman. Enough about him. All right, take that down.
Are you telling us about your homeless Mossad agent?
Oh, right. So this guy's name's Adam. Okay. He's got the name for it. His name's Adam. That's a Jewish name. He signed up for the IDF when he was 17. You can do that, especially 20 years ago. In the 90s, he went and he served in the IDF. He served in the IDF for like a couple of years or whatever, and he left and then traveled. And he said that they encourage you to travel when you leave the IDF because they want you to like gain intel for them, like travel the world, you know, as many Israeli military personnel they can have around the globe, the better. So they help you travel, and oftentimes you get to travel for free. And he said that when he went to South America, they approached him about being a Mossad agent. And he stayed in South America, learned Spanish, and became a Mossad agent in South America. And then he came back to Florida, ran a surf shop with his friend, and sold weed with his friend. Like a lot, like trafficked through this surf shop.
Allegedly.
Now, his friend, like, they got arrested for selling a bunch of weed. And he says after that, like, he never was the same. Like, he went to jail. His family wouldn't help him, whatever. He's just down on himself. Then he went homeless. He's been homeless since then. Everyone, you might think that I'm making this up. Come to downtown Lake Worth Beach and have a talk with this guy, Adam. You know how I know he's a Mossad agent? Because you know how homeless people talk to themselves all the time? He is nonstop talking about the Bidens, the Trumps, Obama, Al-Qaeda. This is all he talks about. Literally.
Is this the guitar guy? Is this the guitar guy?
No, a different guy. That guy was from Boca. This guy's Lake Worth. He only stays around Lake Worth Beach. He hangs out right outside the bookstore. Like half the day, he's like right outside the bookstore.
Do a podcast with him, bro.
I've been thinking about it. I asked him. He said he was down. I'm gonna do it.
God.
He's an actual IDF veteran. He claims to be a Mossad agent. I can't just like prove that, but I believe the guy. His name's Adam. He is Jewish. You can tell. He's homeless. It's very rare that you find a homeless Jewish person. Very, very rare. Almost never happens.
Nope.
And his story is very, very interesting. He's not fully homeless, too. He's not all the way homeless. He chooses to be homeless. You can tell. And he doesn't do hard drugs. He only drinks. I know that much. I smoke weed with him. That's how I know this. We hang out. Seriously, I smoke weed with him in front of the store, and he told me this stuff. And I've known him for maybe 7 years now. We've only been open the bookstore 3 years, but I lived here 7 years ago, and I used to see him then. Walking to the beach. He goes to the beach once or twice a day to like wash off and like change or whatever. He's like a beachy homeless guy. He's not like a begging. He doesn't beg.
He's like you. Are you talking about yourself, Longo?
He doesn't beg. Okay. He doesn't beg for any money. He just talks to himself. He's like schizophrenic. He talks to himself all day, nonstop. He's listening to like talk radio.
The angel picture guy? Is that guy?
It's always political and like geopolitical. No, that was a different guy.
That's a different homeless guy, dude.
That was
All
a
your
young
friends
guy.
are homeless?
No. All your friends are immigrants, Juan? All your friends are nationless? All your friends are...
I mean, I may be from a trash island, but it is
no
a U.S. territory.
No.
So it's a U.S. trash island, all right?
Got plenty of friends, Juan, okay? Oh, Dr. Longo brought up 2 homeless people ever. Whoa.
No, there's the guitar guy. There's the angel picture guy.
That's the same guy. Those are the same guy.
Oh, okay. All right.
Yeah, those 2 are the same.
All right. I'm keeping track of all the homeless Mossad agent friends you got going on, dude.
And guys, keep those tips coming because we might need them. We might need them on this one.
Yeah, I think this is gonna get demonized.
Video might get demonized. Thanks, P Anonymous, with the $20.
Shout out.
Thanks, Adam Othman with the $19.99. Shout out, Adam. Good to see you. All Adams are based, he says. True. Adam was based. He blamed it on Eve. Remember, God was like, what did you do? He's like, well, she gave me the... Well, it's true, but... Okay. I got some more links, then we can wrap it up. This one's pretty crazy. Did you guys know? We've talked about this before once or twice. Did you guys know that there is a... Oh, no, that's not right.
Wrong screen.
You know 9/11?
Oof.
19. There was 19 people in this terrorist cell. I don't know if they were all attackers, but 19 people. Okay, 19 hijackers. So I guess there was 19 hijackers. September 11th. Before terrorist attacks, Palm Beach County was home to hijackers. Look at these gentlemen.
12 disciples.
The 12 hijackers who lived in Palm Beach County. Among them were 3 of the 4 pilots who hijacked planes on September 11th. 2001. Now, some of you guys know this. Not everyone knows it. But did you know that the majority of the 9/11 quote-unquote hijackers, this isn't a 9/11 truth video. So we're not going to give you the 100,000% polished, perfect story on 9/11. We're just talking about the Florida connections. If you know the ultimate truth on 9/11, awesome. Good for you. Good. Go make a video about it. We're just going off of what the news gave us. Even if it is a total psyop misdirection. Why'd they put that psyop misdirection in Florida? So whatever angle you want to take on it, just follow along. Don't try and outbase us. Okay.
Who found the passports though?
Good point. Yeah, the burning passports that
Just found it,
survived.
like on the side of the sidewalk or something, or like.
Yeah, that's total BS. Personally, I think this is BS, but I think they had agents. I think these people were really in South Florida, meeting people and making an impression, so that they could say afterwards, "Oh yeah, I met them at the bar. I almost dated that guy." Right? That's the truth that they claim in this article. Okay. In the summer leading up to the deadly terrorist attacks on September 11th, 2001, 12 of the 19 hijackers spent much of the last 3 months of their lives in Palm Beach County. They shopped at Winn-Dixie and Target, banked at SunTrust, and even visited Lion Country Safari. But of course, they also prepared to unleash the deadliest attack on U.S. soil in history. Here's where they roamed. Mohammed Atta, blah, 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 piloted the planes that hit the World Trade Center, North and South Towers, respectively. They were among the first to enter the U.S. in May and June of 2000. So blah, 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 we're not going to... hang on. He spent hundreds on sex toys and porn in Broward County. Interesting. Man of fine taste.
I love how they put that at the end there.
Delray Beach, terrorists in the all-America city. So yeah, they're living a very Florida life. Here are some of the locations. But basically they're taking flight lessons. So Florida is like the #1 state to learn to fly in. Many people from out of state, out of country, move to Florida just to learn to become a pilot. It's super, super common. Super common. I don't know if there's more airports in Florida or if it's just because it's flat or what, but Florida is the place to be for pilots. So this wasn't that uncommon. They're learning to fly in Florida. And they're living around Florida. And just so you know, I don't think that is fake. These people met so many people and did so many things across South Florida. I don't think you can fake that. I think these were necessary backstories. They needed these backstory covers to pull off the psyop that happened later. So I think this much is true. They are meeting people. They are shopping. They are getting caught on video camera. So that way, when it all happens, they can say, oh, well, these guys were here the whole time planning it. Has nothing to do with Israel, right? It was these guys, clearly. But okay. So we're talking about this because what was that movie about? Black Sunday is about a terrorist cell hiding out in South Florida, planning to do an aerial attack on a big crowd of people, big group of people, right? Densely populated area. That movie's predictive programming, 9/11, especially the part that happened in South Florida. Okay, so all these guys are living in all the towns around me. Boynton Beach, Lantana, Lake Worth. That's where I am. I'm in Lake Worth. And they were learning to fly, largely. But a lot of it was in Hollywood. So then either the night before or one of the last nights before they go do the attack, they spent a couple of these guys had dinner and hung out at Hollywood Circle. Hollywood, judging by the name, right? Would you believe me if I told you that Hollywood, Florida is almost as Jewish as Hollywood, California? It's actually more Jewish percentage-wise. But Hollywood, Florida is very, very Jewish area.
What the fuck is this? Right, Adam's on one.
So
what are you getting at, Longo?
hang on. Okay, no, not this one. Dude, what's her name?
Oh, he's Tengu too, isn't he?
Yeah. Dude, I love how committed Juan is to the
It's
Tengu.
easier to remember than Brazilian. The Brazilians are getting mad at us for calling him
I think he's Italian.
Is he?
Yeah, he's just Italian. Giuliani. Very fine line. Yeah, Roman Catholic. He's Italian.
All right. I stand corrected.
Dude, what's this fucking lady's name?
Who are you looking for?
Okay, Hollywood, Florida, whatever. Hollywood, Florida has had, it's the city with the most consecutive, it's either Hollywood, Florida or Miami Beach that has had the most consecutive or most Jewish mayors in total. So Hollywood, Florida is ranked either like number 1 or number 2 for that, for having the most Jewish mayors. But here, I can't remember her name, dude.
Someone said Caroline. Check Caroline and see if that comes up.
No, that was the chick we kicked out earlier. Oh, but look at the current mayor. Josh Levy.
Levy. The old Confederate gold, dude. Is it Catherine?
No, it's not her. Okay. Giuliani. Okay, Giuliani. Okay. The Giuliani family. Oh, wow.
Go down, it'll tell you who's in there.
Jewish mayors. Yeah, her name is Mara. Okay, it's Mara. Yeah, Mara Giuliani. Oh, Boys and Girls Club. Isn't that nice?
With the Dolphin kicker, bro. Miami
Nice.
Dolphin kicker.
Yeah. Good point. Okay, but there's one where she's in Israel. It's hilarious. Her mom's holding an assault rifle. It's fucking hilarious. Dude, if they took it off, I'm going to be pissed.
They knew you were going to look it up, dude. They know everything.
You know whose Wikipedia they did edit since I started covering them?
Who?
Look, dude, they have her wedding on here.
Who's Wikipedia?
Boom, look at this. Look at this. Dude. Oh, yeah. Dr. Law, I always know what I'm looking for, okay? I'm not crazy. I know
Took you a bit.
I know this stuff exists, okay? This is the mayor of Hollywood, Florida, with her mom, and visiting Israel in like the 70s or 60s with 3 members of the Israeli Defense Forces. And look, they let her hold their gun. Look at that.
Old Bertha.
That's the mayor of Hollywood, Florida, right there on the right. Long time mayor. Okay. Now, here's where it gets crazy. She's got the assault rifle. They did this whole tour of Israel or whatever. They're getting awfully comfy with these Israeli soldiers. What is he looking at over there? He's looking
Old
at
Bertha, bro.
looking at her cans. But okay. Give me one sec. So remember what I just showed you about the terrorist cell, the Mossad agent in the 80s.
By the way, it's not an assault rifle; it's an AK. Somebody said.
That's it.
Get your weapons correct.
Actually, that is a full-sized assault rifle. It's a Galil. That's not an AK.
Oh shit!
That's a Galil. Okay, I know. Not just because of Call of Duty, because I know firearms history pretty well. My dad taught me everything there is to know about guns before I got into any of this stuff. And I know that's the Galil, not just because I played Call of Duty, but because I know that Israel chose to use the Galil. That's like an Israeli weapon.
Damn, apologize now to Longo.
That's a Galil. Okay.
Say sorry, you're a good man.
And I think a Galil shoots a 303 or a 308, which makes it a full-sized assault rifle. Okay. Yeah, it's not in an AK-47, that's an assault rifle too. People say, "Oh, it's technically a submachine gun, or technically it's a intermediate cartridge." That's an assault rifle too. I guess a Galil is a full-sized rifle, but
yeah, we're gonna settle this once and for all. It is IMI Galil is a family of Israel-made automatic rifles chambered in 5.56. So it's 5.56, 7.62. All right, NATO cartridges, and it is considered an assault rifle, carbine battle rifle. Damn, dude, you better fucking say sorry. Find that guy in the comments. He doesn't say sorry, man.
Yeah, but she's holding a Galil. Apparently, Galils are heavy too.
Oh, now there's no assault rifle. It's a term coined by the media.
Okay, yeah. Well, I get what they mean. I was just being a prick about it, but so that's the mayor and her mom of Hollywood. How comforting. Dual citizens, of course, as you'd expect. But what's crazy though is that remember how the 9/11 attackers were hanging out in Hollywood?
Mm-hmm.
And then Hollywood has always had like dual citizen mayors, like that family I just showed you. Well, the article that I brought up first kind of ties that all in together. I didn't read it, but this is 2002. Okay, a year after 9/11, U.S. breaks up major Israeli spiring. Now, what's crazy is that they claim these might have been agents involved in setting up 9/11 in the same parts of Florida only a year later. And we never heard anything about this. You hear about the Israeli art students and all that stuff. That happened in Florida too. Here.
Bro.
The website said the ring was active in the states of Arkansas, California, Florida, and Texas, and was made up of around 20 cells of between 4 and 8 members who were aged between 22 and 30 and had recently completed Israeli military surveillance in an Army intelligence division. Let's go back to the headline. U.S. authorities have broken a network of Israeli spies living in the United States who were burrowing into the Justice and Defense Departments, a French website specializing in intelligence matters reported Monday. Okay, we can't read all this, but...
By the way, Israel just attacked Iran.
Officially?
Yeah, 6 minutes ago, Israel strikes Iran's nuclear program, killing top military officials.
Oh, God. Great.
But they did back in 2024, too.
Well, this guy said U.S. investigators were concerned by indications that some of the alleged Israeli spies had been based in the same cities as people suspected of having helped in the logistics of the devastating September 11 attacks on New York and Washington. For instance, it had been established, he said, that a dozen Israelis, including the alleged surveillance leader, had been based in the Florida town of Hollywood between January and June last year. U.S. authorities have arrested another dozen people suspected of being tasked with the logistics of preparing the September 11 attacks in the same area, he noted. This guy stressed, however, that the troubling coincidence was still only one theory being looked into, and that there was not enough information to determine whether Israel's Mossad Secret Service had been aware of the preparations for the September attacks. Oof. Now, this is like an Iranian newspaper. Or where's Tehran? Yeah, Iran. So, you know, a little biased. They'll probably run with whatever they hear. But man, the pieces are there. The pieces are there, you know, for all this to be true. But dude, I've got an endless amount of.
Save it for the next one.
Let's just show a couple.
I'm a 17-year Army veteran. Well, I'd like to ask you a question.
You could start by shaking my hand.
I don't think so. Are you an Israeli spy? Are you spying on the American government for Israel? A former intelligence officer, and
This is Brian Mast, a Florida congressman who volunteered for the IDF. He was in the American military and then volunteered for the IDF. And then after that became a senator, coincidentally. A young guy, you know, hard to do without a lot of backing. And he actually wears his IDF uniform in Congress, in his office. And he has this allegiance to Israel that's very, very strange.
A lot of them do.
And yeah, he got confronted about this. And
I have.
The person asking him this claims to be a 17-year veteran and former intelligence officer, Josephine Gilbo.
read documentation. Excuse me, you're Brian Mass, right? Hi,
Captain.
My name's Josephine Gilbo.
How you
I'm a
doing?
17-year Army veteran.
Welcome.
Well, I'd like to ask you a question.
You could start by shaking my hand.
I don't think so. Are you an Israeli spy? Are you spying on the American government for Israel? A former intelligence officer? I have read documentation that points to you actually having allegiance to the country of Israel and not America.
Did you almost give your life for America?
Absolutely.
Because I almost gave my life
So
for
did I,
America.
17 years in the Army. Why are you continuing to accept donations from Israeli citizens like the Falak family from
Israel is
Miami?
really a tremendous sound.
Excuse me, you're Brian.
Yeah. Oh, he got his
Israel-
legs blown off, bro.
Israel, I think he did. He? I don't know.
He
I know
shows
he
him
got-
off. Look at him right there.
Oh, damn. My bad. Israel's a great ally.
They all say that, dude.
Well, yeah, I've got a ton of articles and stuff like that. It's there's so much to talk about. There was a boat that came up to Florida during World War II that had like 900 Jewish refugees on it. It went to Cuba, got denied, and then it went to Florida, off the coast of Florida, and got denied, and had to go back to Europe apparently.
What year was that?
Like early 40s or something, I assume. Yeah, they call it the Voyage of the Damned. Also, I didn't say this. I didn't say this. Remember the Mossad agent in the movie?
Mm-hmm.
Do you know what his nickname is? Did you catch that?
No.
The Final Solution. Yeah, the Mossad agent's name in the movie, his nickname is The Final Solution. Agent Kabakov. The final solution is what the movie calls him, not us. They call him the final solution. That's what apparently the Holocaust was called by the Germans.
Was it really?
The final solution. That's what they claim.
Bro.
And they named the Mossad agent, his nickname in this is the final solution. And they say he's so ruthless. He's driven by revenge, generational revenge and all this stuff. But yeah, guys, this 2.5 hours. I've got, no joke, I've got 20 articles about Jewish mafia, Israeli agents, Israeli dual citizens, Israeli criminals escaping or, escaping Florida to Israel to escape crimes. Epstein, whole thing about Epstein. We got to talk about this one. Got to bring this up real quick.
Epstein was in Florida too?
Yeah. This is from the Times of Israel. For writer who broke Epstein case, a rumored Mossad link is worth digging into. Reporter Julie K. Brown isn't convinced the accused sex trafficker took his own life and says associate Robert Maxwell may not have been the only one tied to Israeli intelligence. Yep, so he lived in Florida. His island was just off the coast of Florida, pretty much, in the Caribbean, the south side of the Bahamas. But yeah, apparently he's linked to Mossad pretty strongly. It's not a weak link. Ghislaine Maxwell's father was a Mossad agent. So, But okay, there's literally 10, 20 more articles like that I have. We can't go through them all. It's just safe to say that Florida has a Mossad problem. A problem with dual citizens. And we're American people. People's allegiance needs to be to America. This whole Mossad stuff, dual citizenship, it's only going to drag us into wars we don't need to be in. And that's really it. Any thoughts, Juan? Closing thoughts?
No, this was another good one, bro. P Anonymous has a problem too. He's giving you too much money. Keep them shekels rolling in.
Adam Othman with 1999 says, shout out Osama. Bro is like 6'9", so he was based. Yeah, that's true. I don't know if he's that tall. I think he was like 6'5", 6'4". But yeah, super tall well, he wasn't Afghani, I don't think. I think he was Saudi Arabian, and they're a little bit taller. I don't think the Afghanis are very tall, but he looked super tall. And talking about guns, Osama bin Laden made a gun popular, a type of AK super, super popular. It was called a Krinkov, I believe. And it's a short-barreled, Krinkov, short-barreled AK. So Osama bin Laden had a very unique gun, like a trademark, iconic gun that he used, the Krinkov, which was a short AK. Interestingly, we were talking about AKs earlier and them being small or not small or whatever. P Anonymous with another $20. Thank you. We're going to need it tonight. I don't know if I'm getting any shekels from this video.
He said they got it blocked on my end. I'm fucking permanently demonetized. So I ain't got shit to lose.
Yeah. Okay. That's it, folks. Black Sunday. Another movie breakdown in the books. And
what do we do next?
Something a little tame. Something just chill. A fucking Disney movie again or something.
Schindler's List maybe next? No? Is that said in
No,
Florida?
no, I don't know why I thought for a second I was like, what part of that's in Florida? But
No, this is good, dude. This is I mean, I didn't think we were really going to talk a lot about anything because this movie, like one of the reviews said, it's an enjoyable watch, but there's nothing really to talk about. And that was in the 70s when they said that. But obviously, we did 2.5 hours, almost 3 hours on this stupid movie.
yeah, let's see. I'm gonna go. Hang on. It's still monetized for now so far.
Yeah, just give it a little bit.
Yeah, but we'll see. All right, everyone. We got 600 in the chat. Thanks for being here with us. And go subscribe to Juan if you haven't already. Juan on Juan podcast. Go to www.tjojp.com. Go check out all his stuff. Sign up to all his outlets. Make sure you're subscribed. And you know where to find me, Old World Florida, on pretty much all the platforms. And we'll see you next Thursday. I'm going to see you either on Saturday or Monday. And that's it. Thanks, guys. Thanks for joining, everyone. Thanks
See you next week.
Peace.
Bye.